I was talking to a friend of mine who's in the baseball space, and he said there's a difference between complex and complicated. We have a tendency to make things complicated, which is where pieces don't necessarily fit and they're not supposed to, but we try to find ways to. Whereas complex things, there are lots of elements to them, but they're supposed to fit together, and there's a difference. And he feels like in our space we have a tendency to make things complicated, and as opposed to understanding the complexity of things, and that's where we can get lost. And I thought it was an interesting way to look at it, because I think by assuming that things are complex, then the simple answers can't be the answers, right? Like you feel like, hey, if this is really complex, then the simplest answer to this, without being like too like, Occam's razor, but still like can't be. But sometimes it is, like sometimes that's where we should start, right?
I feel like really, first, I don't necessarily fully agree with what your friend said, but
Okay.
I feel like where you ended up there is really and truly our only option at the
Okay.
end of the day, because it is complex. This is what we do actually in this in the sporting world a lot, is we actually misidentify complex problems as complicated problems.
Right.
We feel like we are expert in this domain, and we
Hmm.
know then through our expertise the relationship between cause and effect, and
Hmm.
we think we're too smart. Where what you rightly said is, this is complex. We
Right.
are we are this is a complex thing that we're doing, coaching. We're working with complex things, athletes. They're doing complex things, sports, with other complex things, other athletes. And the whole thing is complexity on top of complexity on top of complexity. So the only answer to that complexity is, as you said, is to kind of try to simplify it all to as few component parts as possible, so
Hmm.
we can better understand the relationship between cause and effect. Because remember, we can understand it, but only in hindsight.